everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with my official review for Arrow Season 4, Episode 3, titled Restoration. If you've not seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into this episode of Restoration. Now, first off, I have to be brutally honest, I have to be raw, I have to be completely just 100% pure. And what I mean by that is that I really didn't want to watch this episode. I didn't want to think about this episode. I didn't want to pretend it even existed, and I did not want to review it. Now you might be asking yourselves, why? Why are you over-exaggerating, John12? Why are you such a prick? You know, like you always are in your Arrow reviews. And there's a good reason for that, because I saw the teaser for this week's episode, and I just wanted to vomit. I wanted to just hide. I wanted to go into like a cave, you know, and just like hide there until like the episode was gone. I just did not want to think about it. Now, there's a lot of reasons as to why that was. Number one, I didn't really want to go back to Nanda Parbat. We went there pretty much every episode last season, so I kind of just wanted to not even think about it, because it makes me remind myself of Season 3. And then you have the main villain of the week. Now granted, CW, they have 23 episodes. It does do this. It's very episode of the week. It's episodic. It's a given. However, this villain for this week, when I saw him in that teaser, he was so god-awful stupid and cheesy, I just wanted to hurt someone. It's just so stupid. I mean, like, he's a metahuman who comes to Star City, who's working for Damien Darhk, and he has tattoos that he can, like, peel off and, like, throw them and use them as weapons. I mean, like, I can take stupid. I can even take cartoony. And I can suspend disbelief. But that was just dumb. Even in the realism of Arrow, really? I mean, at least last season you had the guy with the laser eyes, but no, this season you have Mr. Tattoo Thrower. What the Anyways, but with all that being said and done, and after presenting you my gut reaction for this week's episode, I have to also be brutally honest as to my reception of the episode, which is, I actually really enjoyed it. This episode was a mega surprise. I don't even know why I'm even saying that for an Arrow episode, but it was a mega surprise. I really was expecting this to be the worst episode ever I've ever seen, and it was surprisingly decent. It was surprisingly even good. You know, I mean, like, I do give Arrow a hard time, and the only reason I do that is because, you know, I do, in my, you know, my heart and my bones, I still feel that they peaked. They already did. They peaked at Season 2, and that was pretty much done. Season 3 was god-awful, and this season hasn't really done anything to prove itself worthy of making more seasons. So that's kind of like my overall opinion of Arrow as of now. So, I guess, as is, my overall anticipation and standards for this episode has lowered drastically. But after seeing the teaser, it lowered even more than that, all the way to the ground. It went down to the depths of hell. It was just down there. So I guess that's why, when I went to this episode expecting it to be god-awful, hell-awful, it wasn't. It was actually pretty good. It was a good episode. I mean, like, so far, this episode, and I guess part of episode 1, has to be my favorite so far of the season. I mean, like, that's not really saying much. We're still very early in the season. There's still, like, a whole, like, other 20 episodes to watch, which, you know, is crazy in and of itself, but, yeah, it's just, this episode I was expecting it to be god-awful, and it was surprisingly not, so that's pretty much kudos to them, but I still feel like the villain was terrible. I'm not even going to talk about him. I'm not. I know other people will, and that's awesome, but I will not. I refuse to talk about this villain. He was terrible. He was useless. He did not do anything. He had terrible metahuman powers and abilities. I'm just going to say this. He got beat by Felicity. Bye. Goodbye. I'm done. Leave me alone. We're not talking about that villain again, ever. Just put him in your fucking safe bank and lock it down. Just lock it down. It's done. He's a done deal. But moving off of that, there's a lot of really amazing stuff that are really cool that go on outside of the ridiculousness of that stupid metahuman who somehow gets away too easily. Which is, number one, Diggle and Oliver's relationship. It progresses in this episode where it comes to the stance where Diggle is putting the team at jeopardy with him not trusting Oliver and Oliver's lack of interest to really succeed in getting Diggle back into his friendship. So that's really, I guess, the thing that stands out to me as being a really good point of view of this episode. I really like Diggle, or Dignito, whichever way you want to go with it, but I feel like he kind of like fell from grace to a certain extent, especially in this season. It just feels like, I like the fact that he's angry at Oliver, but I feel like if there's a way to redeem this relationship, or at least this friendship, the way they pronounced it in this episode was great. It was a good point of view from Diggle's perspective. It was a good point of view from Oliver's perspective. And at the end of the day, Felicity's just like, look, you need to shut the fuck up. You need to get your head out of your fucking asses, and you need to freaking talk about this shit, because this is starting to risk the team. And they do that. Felicity gives them mouth like a mom, which is hilarious. She goes away, whatever. And then Diggle and Oliver have to talk about, like, how they fucking feel about each other. He doesn't trust him. He doesn't really know what to do to get his, respect back, all this kind of different things. And that was really interesting and cool. I personally like the fact that Diggle is angry with Oliver, especially the calamity that is season 3. But it's almost like Diggle is like us. He's like our perspective. It's like, you fucked up so hard in season 3, I'm pissed off at you. That's kind of like how I look at it, and I say fucking kudos. I mean, like, they fucking achieved a greatness when it comes to that kind of whole scenario. And it also kind of serves the plot well, where you have this new character who, I don't really remember her name because it doesn't really matter because she ends up dying, spoilers. But, yeah, she kind of comes in, and she's an agent of Hive. Diggle talks to Oliver about this whole Hive situation, about how Hive killed his brother, how they hired, Deadshot, or, the Will Smith Deadshot, who's gonna fucking come in and kill his brother back in, season 1, pre-season 1 stuff. So, a whole bunch of craziness there. And then you have, them trying to stop her, trying to get information about Hive and how that kind of scenario goes down. Very cool, awesome stuff. And then you have another really interesting subplot with Laurel and Thea. Now, I don't like Laurel or Thea. I think they're the worst characters of this freaking universe. I feel like they are just terrible. They're god-awful. I do not like them. I don't like watching them. Anything that has to deal with those characters doing anything, I don't really care for. However, I feel like this episode really, they had a purpose, and they served that purpose, which is getting Sarah back. Obviously, based off last week, if you haven't seen that, definitely spoilers, but check it out as well, and also check out my review for it. But last week, they decided to take Sarah's dead body, take it to Nanda Parbat, and use the Lazarus Pit to bring her back. Now, granted, this is something they kind of should have done last season, but didn't. And it's a real big debacle, because the Lazarus Pit has its own kind of properties that you don't know if it can work. And on the flip side, if it does work, Sarah will obviously come back broken. She will not come back as the same Sarah that went in. So it's a big debacle as to which situation you go with. A lot of people feel different about this. Malcolm Merlin doesn't want to do it. Even Nyssa Al Ghul doesn't want to do it. Laurel is the only one who really wants to see Sarah come back, because, it's a given. Obviously she would want her to come back and all that kind of craziness. And it's very riveting. It's very interesting to see that perspective of these characters, because we don't really get to see that a lot. And plus, it was just cool to see Nyssa Al Ghul come back. I love the actress who plays her. And I think the character of her is really badass, and how they use her on screen. And I love how much she just hates Malcolm, and how one day she plots to just destroy him. And I love that ending where she just, destroys the Lazarus Pit. And, spoilers, but she, destroys the Lazarus Pit, which I wish they could have visually did cooler, but whatever. She destroys it, and she's just like, when I overthrow you and I kill you, I wanted to make sure that you can't come back. And I was like, God damn, that's badass. That's a badass chick. She's fucking awesome. I mean, she may not be no Talia al Ghul, but she fucking killed it. She was awesome. So, yeah, kudos to her. But, yeah, it was a lot of very mixed emotions. Thea having her own problems. She freaking has this Lazarus Pit effect where she wants to kill people, and Malcolm is trying to help her, but he's helping her in the wrong way, because obviously, as we all know, Malcolm Merlyn, terrible father, terrible excuses, terrible opinions. So he's just a terrible person as is. But then you have Thea, who just doesn't want to kill people. However, she just can't stop giving in to the urge that is wanting to murder people. And it's a hard situation that goes back and forth. And it's very interesting, especially coming from a guy who despises the character of Thea. It's actually kind of cool rooting for her for once. It's like, I understand where she's coming from. I understand this teenage angst of her daddy issues and all that kind of stupid CW cheese. Throwing it aside, it's just, this is a cool freaking relationship. This is a cool scenario, and they're delivering, and it's really freaking awesome. Overall, this episode, it was a very interesting episode. Everything that kind of goes down, there was just a lot of very cool things that I just liked. I loved the Nanda Parbat stuff. I loved the freaking Oliver and Diggle stuff. I really liked the Felicity stuff. For once, because, I really lost interest in Felicity last season. And, I just really gave two shits about her character. But in this season, she's really bringing it back. She's coming back to form. She's going back to the original Felicity, which is cool. Still not big on the Olicity stuff, but whatever. That's just my personal deal. But at the end of the day, I think she served the purpose that she was dealt, and she fucking delivered, and she was awesome. I mean, all her scenes, when it comes to her and, Palmer Tech and, with Curtis, Mr. Terrific or whatever, those sequences are awesome. Their dialogue back and forth is really good. And I love how the Arrow writers are treating it so, counterbalanced in comparison to the Caitlin Snow-Cisco relationship, because when you look at both sets of characters, it's very easy to compare them as ripoffs. It's just they're just trying to, Arrow's just trying to imitate fucking Cisco and Caitlin. You can't do that. There's only one fucking Cisco, and he's over at the fucking Flash. And there's only one Caitlin Snow, and she's over there, goggling over fucking Jay Garrick, so that's it. But Felicity is her own character, and she's been here since, practically day one, so she's already an original. But then you have this character who comes in who could have came off as a Cisco ripoff. But I love how the actor kind of just, has a whole different presence around him. And I love how he delivers his lines in comparison to Felicity. Because we already know how Felicity is. She's kind of like a fangirl meets super smart, goofy kind of chick. Who has this really nice, sexy kind of element to her. But she's very goofy. And then when you translate that and compare it in contrast to Curtis's Mr. Terrific, where he's just he's kind of suave, but he's also geeky, and he has just this really cool way of talking. He's not like Cisco in the sense of he's fangasming everywhere. He's more like Quipper. He's a very quippy kind of character, and I love that. I love how they just go back and forth, unlike Caitlin and Cisco's relationship, where it's a lot more different in comparison to how they do things over here. So I love how they did that. His character is hands down my favorite character of this season. So far, he's just really awesome. I can't wait to see how he progresses from here. Really awesome stuff. If there was one nitpicky kind of thing I can say about Felicity in this episode, is that I really didn't like that machine gun sequence. I didn't really like it. I mean, granted, it's cool seeing Felicity kick some ass. That's always cool. But I'm just saying why is the Arrow lair back at Palmer Tech? Why is it there? And two, your first thing to do when being attacked by a metahuman is to go there. I mean, granted, the metahuman of this week sucked ass and he was stupid, no doubt about that. However, if he was an actual good villain and a smart one at that, he could have fucking put two and two together and knew that was the Arrow lair and freaking could have destroyed it or fucking killed one of them and just used them as hostages to bring down the Arrow, or just wait there and just wait for Arrow to come in, or Green Arrow rather, and Dignito. It's just, like, the villains this week just really baffled me. I just don't know what the Arrow writers were thinking. It's just like they were focusing so hard on the Nana Barbette stuff and the Arrow Diggle stuff. It's like they forgot to care about the villain, which was so weird. It's like every villain hesitated. Like, the only person who does not hesitate is Damien Darhk, and I love that. Damien Darhk, once again, freaking awesome villain. He destroyed this episode. Awesome fucking stuff. I mean, that scene where he's just like, he grabs the, spoilers, when he grabs the fucking card and he's like, freaking, he's just, this was not a presentation, for me. It's a presentation for you. And he just fucking slashes that chick's neck and kills her. That was just a boss. That was a boss moment, and I fucking loved it. But overall, this episode, final verdict, I have to give it a good 8 out of 10. It was a good, decent episode. I really enjoyed it. I thought, I really, my gut reaction is that I thought I was going to hate it, and I thought it was going to be god-awful. But it was the polar opposite of that. I loved the Oliver Diggle stuff. I loved the Nanda Barbette stuff. I still don't care about Malcolm. I refuse to call him Ra's al Ghul. I refuse. There's only one Ra's al Ghul. Malcolm will always be known as the Magician. He is not the Demon's head. He is not head of the Demon. So I refuse to call him that. However, cool to see him back. I mean, freaking... Oh, God, the actor, John Barrett, come on, Barrett, he's just fucking awesome. Freaking awesome to see Ra's al Ghul come back. It's always a pleasure to see her. And the fucking Sarah's back. Fucking Sarah's back. Fucking awesome. Come on, Sarah, that's just awesome. I mean, come on. Fucking badass. Sarah is back. So yeah, I have to give it an 8 out of 10. Overall, I really don't know how far Sarah's going to go in this season. It definitely feels like they're treating her different in comparison to how they're treating Thea in terms of like how the Lazarus pit affects people. So it feels like they're definitely going more comic booky with Sarah, which makes sense because you can't have 2 Black Canaries, in the fucking season. Although if you've seen the New York Comic Con freaking sizzle reel, it seems like they're definitely going to be doing that. However, God, man, Sarah is back. I'm fucking happy. I'm like, Season 4, thank you for doing 2 things. Number 1, thank you for taking us back to the island. I mean, granted, the story there doesn't make any sense, and it has 0 effect on the fucking main storyline, which kind of pisses me off, but hey, we're back at the island, which is cool. And you brought back Sarah, so yeah, this season is starting to have a little glimmer of hope, so maybe it's going to get better. We have to wait and see. I was hoping Constantine was going to be popping up somewhere around here, because we already know that John Constantine is going to show up, so I was hoping he was going to factor into the Sarah being resurrected, but apparently not. We'll definitely be seeing Constantine soon, but I was just hoping it was going to be for Sarah stuff, but whatever. Sarah's back. That's all you fucking Katie lots. Come on. Oh, God. So fucking awesome. I don't know. I wonder, this is my big question, is like, I wonder if Sarah is back now, does that mean we can stop caring about Laurel? I want to know that, because, like, Sarah, we already know she's way more of a badass than Laurel. So, like, if she, like, comes... I mean, like, granted, we already know she's gonna become the White Canary and go over to fucking Legends of Tomorrow. That's a given. But for the remainder of this season, like, do we have to care about Laurel? That's my big question. But overall, that being said, fucking awesome episode. I liked it. I really thought it was going to be stupid and ridiculous, but it was pretty freaking good, and I liked it. And I can't wait to see next week's episode. We're finally going to see some Captain Lance, like, do something good for once. I mean, granted, he's been pretty decent, and he has some secrets, and there's a lot of weird shit going behind the scenes with him and Damien. But, God... Sarah's back. It's awesome. I feel happy now. I'm just happy that she's back. But that being said, comment below. Let me know what you personally think about this episode. What did you think about Sarah coming back, being resurrected? What are your personal thoughts on that whole thing? Do you think it's a good or bad thing that she's back? Let me know your personal thoughts on Diggle and Oliver. Reconciling their issues and differences, and how do you think they're going to go forward? We're taking down Hive. What do you think Damien Darhk's big plan is for Captain Lance and his daughter in future episodes? Let me know your predictions and personal thoughts in the comments section below. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. And before I end this, I just wanted to quickly remind and just update, because I know my Arrow and Flash reviews have been coming out very late in the week in comparison to their premieres. So all I can really say is that from here on out, my reviews for both The Flash and Arrow will be premiered on Thursdays. It's unfortunate, but from here on out, that's where my Flash and Arrow reviews will be coming out. So if anybody like watches them and is like, why are they always so late? Why can't you review them on the night they're released? It's just not in the schedule. It's just my schedule is just not in the works for those days. So pretty much, I can't review them on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, but I will be reviewing them on freaking Thursdays. And also, another quick update. Next week is the premiere for Supergirl, so definitely be on the lookout for that and my review for it. I have not seen the leaked version of episode 1, so next week will be my final review, my official review of that episode, and I will be reviewing it, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I don't know if I'm going to review the entire season like I do Flash and Arrow, but if it's awesome, like most fans have been telling me, then more than likely I'll be reviewing all of Supergirl. But that being said, comment below, let me know what you personally think. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JohnShark12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and this has been JohnShark12.